So, I have previously talked about a variety of ways of making cars modular and maybe making them better. Because then you can customize how much batteries, for example, you have. And then the more batteries you have, for example, the longer you can go. But you also get less efficiency because you carry more weight with you. That's just one example. This is particularly probably useful for delivery. So I want to further in depth talk about how I would do this. So the first idea is between the different car parts, let's say this is car part 1 and car part 1 and this is car part 2, super messy. How would we attach them? Well, what if we had an inflatable skirt that went like this all around the thing and maybe underneath it? And you can deflate it and it becomes neatly folded up. It doesn't cause much friction, but when you inflate it and you have a trailer that attached to it, it nicely covers up the trailer and then you have a very smooth aerodynamic thing that can bend and twist. It will not be it will not allow people to go from one trailer to another trailer, but I think right now this is worth a compromise, especially with the ease of use and safety. In between this, we could have what I would call a cable just to run power and electricity and stuff through it. This cable could be pretty simple and pretty safe, with a pretty quick hookup that non-experts could use. See when we deflate it and everything is exposed, just like we plug in your leaf or something into one. Then you could have a special latch that is on and makes the whole thing strong and really holds the whole thing together. Another thing is that each of these segments could have their own smart electronic wheel, which I've talked about many, many times, and I'll link those videos below, that could have the electric motor and everything within it. So to deliver the amount of power, so none of the cars have to be oversized in the amount of power they carry. And so the places also with the most weight have the wheels that can push the most, and it's bouncing on those wheels, so the wheels so that's how the support is nice right there. Doesn't waste stuff on that. A more futuristic thing would be to have sideway driving principles with these smart wheels and suspensions, which I've talked into about previous videos about how to do that. But having a sideway driving car would mean that we could even have better commuter ones for commuters in like very dense urban neighborhoods and better delivery systems there. Or it can make quite tight turns or something in the future, which might wear down brakes more, but for a quick emergency might be okay. Or during very bad weather if you start losing control for whatever reason that is pretty scary problem. Underneath the compartments, you could have additional stuff you could add or take away that can make it really customizable. You could have thicker compartments with more insulation for places with worse weather. Coolers or heaters for specialty products, for example. Also, you could have different types of cooling heaters depending on the power needed or how cold or how hot you have to do it or how long, and insulation. So there's always customizability there. And by having it also a thin trailers are, you don't have to change your whole fleet. You can just return some of your fleet as needed and slowly update it one by one. And because in one by one, instead of having to turn in the whole car and have the whole car unusable, so you can always have the front end usable. Quicker updates, and more updates means more innovation, usually. And another thing to do is switch out the suspensions and wheels in these different trails and stuff. And I've talked about making before smart wheels with all the electronics and stuff inside. and motors and suspension. And they also acted with the suspension. And again, I'll link those videos. But now you can also even maybe switch out the wheels on each individual trailer. It's not switch out the trailers, but the wheels with a smart robot for even more customizability quicker. And that could help with save a lot of power on different types of roads. For example, certain types of grips work better in wet and some in dry weather, and how much grip is can directly cause you to lose more or less energy. Some suspensions work better in different types of places, and the better your suspension work, the less energy you lose. Another thing that could be done, and this one is you could switch out not only the wheel types and stuff and suspension, but just also the power in one, so you don't have overpowered ones for cities where you're never going fast, and that could be making more efficient, and the grip types. Modules could have different sizes. Generally, building a bigger one, something twice as big, a module to carry stuff, would mean it's easier to build if you have the room for it building it, but it's hard to transport. But with scale, it also might be cheaper, but it also might be less maneuverable. So you have all these different ins and outs. Oh, some things I forgot to mention, just quickly, before I forget again. Is in the first thing where you have each of these modules connected, there's some special abilities that it lets you do. It lets you, because they're each connected, more like a segmented fashion, take tighter turns, which I'll get back into in a little while. But taking back tighter turns also means it is better for cities and stuff like that. And having each individual wheel powered and some steering capabilities would let you take even tighter turns safely without losing control. Having each module connected by a cable or something means maybe you could power each module separately when you're charging it up, leaving faster charges without heating being as much problem, because each cable is separate. And without heating being as much problem, actually energy efficiency will go up, and how long the battery will last. Another idea is that with the sideways turning wheels, but also if you have cameras placed throughout that can help you see your turns better, you can turn more better and more safely with more people potentially in it. But even better yet is with these cameras and smart technology and smarter wheels and stuff that I'll talk about, maybe you can have electronic controls to make it take even tighter turns safely without bumping in and knocking into stuff. Another thing you could do is, I've been so far talking about it like you add sections linearly, so then you would have first up front all the battery stuff and types of batteries and stuff like that. And then as you go along it, you'll have the carrying ones, and the very end is where you really dump out stuff for ease of access with a back door. But if you have side doors you add, then you can access it anyways and have any setup of trails and configurations where you can have the storage in between two batteries or something. You could also add maybe commuter cars and stuff to make it more like a taxi service too, combining uses. A more risky one, but also maybe useful, is to have a nose in front of it while driving that can bump into the car in front of it and somewhat attach or just drive very close to it with more of a rubbery nose, so it's bumpy and so it's not bad if it impacts it too much or hits it a little bit, and that could reduce aerodynamic drag between them. But you would either have to have some solid attachment or security there, or it would have to be very close following and still be safe. So you might need AI or something like that. But it's an idea. It's also not the most, it doesn't say the most if you don't do the 13th thing, which is somehow connecting hubs with back out connections, so the back of the car goes over the next car in front of it using some system. But that's a more complicated system right there. Well, thank you very much for listening. Please like and subscribe. It will help us turn out. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in a year for 1,000 watch hours, which is really hard, but with your help, I think can do it. Of course, if any of these are future videos, comments or suggestions, or anything on this one, or questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Again, thank you very much. Goodbye.